Hello again, it's Steve Richards, founder of Dreamtime Healing, Holographic Kinetics. Today I want to talk on assumptions and beliefs, thought forms and life forms. Assumptions and belief. A lot of time we as people assume something to be and we believe it to be. Because it's a molecular mortal world, that then gives you the rights as a molecular mortal being to have your assumptions, your beliefs, which can now override your spirit. When we start working with people, if your spirit indicates a certain event's taking place, we need to go there, but you assume or you believe something to be, then you will instantly override it because it's there for you. It can't show you where something's coming from if you yourself are going to have an assumption or belief to where you believe it's coming from. I had a lady flying from France. The lady flew from France, she's only 22. Nobody could help her in France. She's on my table, and the next minute she physically metamorphed. Well, if you've ever seen metamorphosis before, it's an eye-opener. One moment I've got a 22-year-old woman on my table, the next minute I have an 87-year-old Chinese grandmother curled up speaking to me in Chinese. And the spirit sent the being back through time and space to cause the effect invasion of this force. Next minute, bang, she's sitting up. I'm a Roman Catholic. Reincarnation doesn't exist. And I said, well, neither's metamorphosis, but you're doing it. Come back in 2 weeks' time, I'll surrogate you to one of my friends and send back on your behalf. You see, what had just taken place is her belief system, her belief, which was her programming, that reincarnation doesn't exist. Therefore, how could I have something from a past life if reincarnation doesn't exist? Well, that just shattered her belief system. So therefore, her belief system overrode what spirit was trying to show her. How can we go back and show her when she has a belief that doesn't exist? So the only way there, as a molecular mortal world, she has a right to that belief to override her spirit. So the only way is to come back in 2 weeks' time where I can surrogate her spirit into someone else who has no belief. Then we can override, send it back in time and show what took place and make changes to that dimension of the past for the future. You see, I have a woman come to me yelling and screaming in the head. This man I've been going with for years, this thing's attached to him, it's attached to him, it's attacking me, it's attacking me. Thank you. I said, I want you to listen to me. I said, that's an assumption. No, it's not, it's happening, she said. Oh, she was ropeable. I said, well, you listen to me again. That's an assumption. The effect is you've got yelling and screaming in the head. You only assume it's coming from this person, and while you assume it's coming from this person, how can you let your spirit show you where it's coming from while you have your assumptions there? Finally, she got the hang of what I was trying to get through. So therefore she put her belief systems aside and the spirit took back to 8 years old. Her father and younger brothers are screaming and yelling at each other and she was petrified. This petrified locked in a thought form. The thought form evolved to a life form. The life form now only knew what created it. That was the yelling and the screaming. Eventually, 40 years later, it's become an entity and all it knows is yelling and screaming. So it's still yelling and screaming out of 40 years later. Till we unfolded time and space, looped time, put outside time and changed the dimension of time, and instantly the yelling and screaming cease to be. You see, your beliefs and your assumptions can override. This is why sometimes with surrogacy work, I prefer not to do surrogacy because you have people's beliefs, you have the assumptions, you have the ego, you have the soul, you have the spirit, you have the life forms, and any other things attached to them are going to come through on the surrogate. And the person on the tables, they're really reliving the time track of this being with all these variables. When you're on the table in front of a practitioner, there and then, you can tell if the ego is talking, you can tell if the soul's talking, you can tell if the spirit's talking, you can tell if life forms are talking or entities are talking. And you can deal with them as they come up one at a time, knowing what he's dealing with, knowing how to deal with these things that may be in the body at that moment of time. So it's mostly important that we learn to put aside our assumptions and beliefs, because the assumptions and beliefs also lock us in time. I call it the fish in the fishbowl. And the fish in the fishbowl are swimming round and round and round and they're thinking going somewhere because they're all going straight ahead. But they don't realise they're going round and round in circles in the fishbowl. Today in our society, I find a lot of people in the fishbowl. And when we start to clear people out of the fishbowl, we move them outside to another matrix. We take them from one matrix to the next matrix. And there's a string of matrices out there. Eventually we've got to break through the matrices to get out through the game. But what takes place is when we start clearing people, they move to the next matrix. And these people, especially when it comes to drugs, clear them up and they get back with their friends and they think, oh, it's okay, you know, 1 or 2 little hits of the drugs or the dope won't hurt. Well, what they don't realise is we've taken them from this matrix to the next matrix. And on the next matrix, each matrix out there are bigger and darker forces ready to combat against you. And therefore, it's going to be worse each time because you've got bigger and darker forces to combat against. You know, freedom is about getting out of this game. And the beings that are manipulating the game, they need you stuck in the game. It's about understanding that we are multi-dimensional beings in this multi-dimensional world. It's about putting away the beliefs and assumptions and purely simply, okay, spirit, where does this come from? Let's get in and get the job done. Find it, clear it, and let's get it out and make changes. If we open wormholes to other dimensions, let's find out where do we open the door. How long have these things been there for? Sometimes some of the big boys have been there for thousands of years. Rituals have been going for thousands of years. Religion has been going for thousands of years. You've got to ask who runs religion, who runs the rituals, who are the beings that have been manipulating the human species into other games. This is all part of understanding the game of what we're dealing with today. This is about taking back your control as a spirit. This is about you awakening from the sleep that you're in and being aware to make changes. From today, your spirit is listening to everything I'm saying and it's fully aware of what I'm talking about. It's fully aware of the changes that it needs to make. It's fully aware of the amnesia it's been in for a long time. So as we come to the end of the cycle, it's awakening. Listen to it. Start to listen to it. Because it's your spirit. Don't call anything outside of yourself. The answer's not out there. Anything you give power to outside of you, remember, it needs you to open the door and let it in. It needs you to disempower your spirit and give power to it. I don't care what it is. Don't call anything in. Absolutely nothing. Because the key is not out there, the key is within here. And once you start communicating with your spirit, there's nothing you can't find this universe, nothing it can't give you, nothing it can't manifest. It has the ability to manifest. That's what it's for, to re-raise the universe for you. So start to listen back to your spirit again.